Hello, everyone. Welcome. Very happy to have you here for our very aptly named webinar today. So happy Valentine's Day to those that celebrate. My name is Lindsay Mareau. I am our Vice President of Strategy here at Phenom, and I'm going to be having a really exciting conversation today with both Melinda and Scott. And I'll be asking them to introduce themselves here in just a moment. We're going to be talking about something I think is at the top of everyone's mind. Maybe not the love at first sight part, but really the ways to keep and convert talent here on the career site. So thank you all for joining us. And Scott, I will let you kick us off here with some introductions.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thanks to Phenom for having us. We're really excited to take you guys on a tour of our award-winning candidate experience and career site. Happy Valentine's Day. Melinda and I both decided to get festive and wear our pink for you all. So hopefully we can put on a good show. We were also told to have fun with this, so we're gonna try that as well. So my name is Scott Ewert, and I am one of the talent acquisition leaders here at Regions Bank. Regions is a publicly traded regional bank headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama, and we have approximately 20,000 associates across the Southeast within our branch network, and we're typically hiring a lot of bankers in our branches, as you can imagine. But we're also, a large enterprise. It's fairly complex. So in addition to branch bankers, we're also hiring, IT professionals, marketing professionals, operations, and so we have a segmented recruiting strategy so that we can really grab candidates across our entire enterprise in terms of the needs that we have. So again, I lead our innovation and strategy team, which owns the career site, and I'm going to kick it over to Melinda to talk about her roles.
Yes, thank you, Scott. And again, thank you, Phenom, for having us and being able to talk about our career site. I'm Melinda Littleton. I am a talent sourcing lead here on the Region Strategy and Innovation team. And my role is involved in the master administration of the Phenom platform, which does include our career site, but also work with our recruiters, work with our users on how they can leverage the candidates that are converted through our career site in really thinking about a candidate's experience end to end when they first come to our career site, how they're engaged with our employment brand, and ultimately how they engage with our recruiters. And so that's a big focus for us in how we've crafted the career site and the journey that we've taken with Phenom. So very excited to share more about that.
Yeah, Melinda, and I love that you mentioned not only the candidates and the recruiters as well. And so
Yes.
for those that aren't familiar with Phenom, we are on a mission to help 1 billion people to find the right job. And we've done that by creating an intelligent talent platform that connects candidates to the right jobs, recruiters with the right talent, managers with the right data, and employees with engagement information so that they can stay in the organization as long as possible. So effectively making every talent matter for all of those stakeholders throughout the experience. And Regions has been a phenomenal, well, we use that word a lot, phenomenal partner for us. And I think that it's the success of both that candidate experience, but also in that experience that's really fueled your recruitment team with information about talent so that recruitment marketing strategy is as effective as possible. And so I'm excited to walk through that. But I wanted to just mention, and we'll reference this case study that you all have been so gracious to help us co-create about the success specifically that Regions has seen, which includes speeding up that hiring process by as much as 20%, giving you 8x the amount of talent in that funnel to work with from both a recruitment and recruitment marketing perspective, but just generally speaking, an increase in your recruiter productivity. And what that means in the end is an increase in the numbers of hires that you've been able to make. And so Melinda or Scott, before we dive in, would love for you to just speak a little bit more to that success that you've seen.
Sure. Well, when we kicked off what we'll call Career Site 1.0, which is essentially implementation and launch about 2 years ago, we had two major goals. And one of those goals was to create best-in-class candidate experience. And so That's been an iterative journey. We'll talk about that more here in a little bit. But we really wanted to make sure that when candidates got to our career site, that they really enjoyed the experience. It was a place that they wanted to continue to kind of explore. And so that was our first goal. And then the second goal was to make sure that we were attracting the right talent. So we talked about the right job, the right fit. That's really important to us, especially for our recruiters who are having to go through the candidates who are applying. And thinking about how we could do that, we felt that transparency and the sharing of our employee value proposition was probably the best way to go about that. And that's been an iterative journey itself.
Sure.
But a lot of companies talk about, let's get you more candidates, and to us it wasn't about more candidates, it was more of the right candidates. And so that was really what we leaned into from a transparency perspective, that took us on our journey to Career Site 2.0 and 3.0 that we'll talk about here in a bit.
Fantastic, Scott. Thank you so much. And I think that so often we like to think of the process with the end in mind, but so often really elevating that candidate experience is an iterative process, because the way in which your company is working and the way in which you're trying to attack talent, that's always going to be an evolution. And so I love the idea of the 1.0, the 2.0, the 3.0, and then probably even looking ahead beyond that, right? And so that's what we'll really focus on today. So let's get started with just really walking through the live career site. The look and the feel is really important here, but let's talk about those iterations. So if you can kick us off with, if we can bring up that career site live here now, fantastic. Starting with, and this is the current state, right? So there's a lot of fantastic things happening here as it relates to the candidate experience, but we'd love to start with 1.0, right? What were those needs, and what were the foundations, we'll say, of success to help to generate that qualified applicant and candidate flow?
Yeah, definitely. I'll make a couple comments and I'll kick it over to Melinda. Really the first step was the lift of just getting this thing created. And really it was just the homepage. We wanted to make sure that the homepage was, again, creating a great candidate experience. It was easy to navigate. We enabled all of the personalization on demand that we could. And then we, of course, included as much EVP information as we had. So information about diversity, information about ESG, all those different aspects of what it's like to be an associate at Regions and what Regions stands for needed to be front and center. But really the power of this started with those job categories, which you'll see right there. So it was a pretty major project on our team's end to try to create job categories that we felt spoke to candidates who may not have any idea about how Regions is actually organized. So not so much about how do our job families and job profiles align, but how would a candidate find those jobs? And so we landed on these different job categories here, and that was basically a way for candidates to filter, the as many as 1,500 jobs that we may have live at a time. And I'll kick it over to Melinda for some additional comments on personalization.
Yeah, that's a great setup when we think about our homepage, and that is where most of our candidates do land. We kind of started with the homepage with the end in mind, knowing that candidates look for jobs and they're in different stations. They may be actively looking, they may be browsing, they may be looking for a friend or whatever the case may be. And to have the homepage really speak across that spectrum to where a candidate may be coming from and wanting to do, and providing those touch points that are relevant for that candidate in a really engaging way. As Scott shared, the job categories were huge because, again, we're a bank, so we're probably most known for hiring bankers, but we hire for much more than that. And so to have those job categories laid out, critical to help connect candidates with the right opportunities based on what they're looking for and really what their interests are. And for us, taking that a step further was really leaning into our talent community. This was a huge opportunity for us to help engage and convert candidates truly based on what their interests are. We have a lot of activities built around our talent community, both for our candidates, but also for our recruiters. And having it be a way that candidates can share what they're interested in, again, regardless of what station are they at. Are they actively looking? Are they browsing? Maybe they're wanting to make a move in the future, we can stay connected to them. And we didn't have a way to do this before Phenom and this career site. And so we saw this as a huge opportunity for us to, again, provide a great candidate experience, but then also to help our recruitment team get connected to, as Scott shared, the right talent.
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Scott, please.
The other thing I was going to mention is our little chatbot friend down there in the right-hand corner.
Yes.
That has been a game changer for us, because what that really does is it does create that candidate experience that's kind of best in class. It's when anybody lands on the career site, any page on our career site, the chatbot engages and it allows candidates to interact and help the chatbot make recommendations and set up job alerts and send them to the right place so that it really is a good experience. So that was a game changer for us as well.
For sure. And I think what I'm hearing is that even before you had the story that EVP very clearly lined out, what this has done is helped to set the foundation for ultimately what candidates are trying to do when they hit this career site, which is search for opportunities, right? Making it very easy for them to find what they're looking for or browse based on the way that they would search, which isn't necessarily the same way that jobs are organized to start in the applicant tracking system, right? And then also for so many candidates, even when they find the right opportunity, if they're still in their research phase, making sure then that they have questions that they may really need answered before they're ready to take the next step, learning more about your benefits, your culture, the steps in the recruitment process. And it's this chatbot that's given you the ability to do exactly that.
Yeah, and I would take that a step further. In addition to just leaning into connecting candidates with what they're interested in, a lot of the career site and the personalization is built around skills. And that is where recruiting is going. This idea of what skills do candidates have? If they've had them in one role, can they be transferable to another role? And so we really focus on that from just a recruitment standpoint of what are candidate skills? How can we connect that to interests? And these job recommendations are very useful to candidates where they may have been in one role at a previous employer or even before that, and they may assume that they have to go into that same role at their next company. And so the job recommendations really help to provide candidates with more options and for them to be able to see where they can take their skills. We talk a lot about career forwarding opportunities, and our homepage allows our candidates to see what that looks like, both based on their interests, but also with their skills. And so that's been a huge win for us as it relates to candidates and converting them into those right jobs.
You are so right, and I think that's a solid way to round out the setting of the proverbial foundation, right? And it's all about search and organization. But now, as we think about, then once we've got the groundwork set, then what was the next step, the next natural process in the evolution of Regions Candidate Experience 2.0, if you will?
Yeah, so 2.0 we got really excited about because, as I mentioned before, we're very focused on employer branding and EVP. What we recognize is that that's going to be slightly different within each of these job categories. And so what we realized is that each of the landing pages, for instance, if you were to click on the technology job category there, it'll pull up what we call our job category landing page. And what this was is a platform for us to tell technology-specific EVP stories around leadership, around how we're organized, just to really level set with what candidates are expecting and what we're actually providing. Again, to make sure that we are being transparent and really attracting the right talent to to those jobs. Now, what you're looking at here is what we call our microsite, which is 3.0. But the 2.0 side of it was really what was foundational for creating these 3.0 microsites, which we'll talk about in even more detail here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Melinda, anything you wanted to add?
Absolutely. So what's really nice about the layout of the job category pages is, as Scott shared, we're allowed to add in additional content. We have our leader for our technology group and, his image, a testimonial from him, as well as just information about how the group is structured. And we think about that from the candidate's perspective. If I come onto a job category page, what's helpful information for me to know? Again, maybe I'm actively interested, maybe I'm just browsing. And so we're able to craft that message at the job category level to help connect and convert those candidates. And in addition, to go back to the talent community, all of our job category pages have a link to join our talent community. So we're continuing to message that to our candidates as well, so that they can share that they're interested. And again, maybe they do need help connecting to the right opportunity. And so we have that call to action on each page as well. And what's nice is because each job category is distinct, we can use that space to tell a really customized story and personalized story based on which candidates click on which job categories, and to help educate them about how we're structured and also why they should explore opportunities with us. To have that space front and center when our candidates land on our job category pages is a huge win. We've gotten great candidate feedback that it's helped them just better understand how groups are organized, where their interests are, where their skills can land. And then in another way, we take these job category pages and we're able to campaign to candidates about them and drive traffic into those job categories where they're seeing that content as well. So it's been a really nice enhancement in the candidate experience and how we've taken 1.0 into 2.0 on our career site.
Absolutely, Melinda, and I love that again that you're bringing that up, and maybe you can expand on that a little bit more, because the information that is being used to help the candidate navigate to the right type of opportunity and the right opportunity specifically, while also getting their questions answered, or if they're still in the maybe phase, right? Keeping in touch with you in a way that works for them. But it sounds like that same information is also then being surfaced to your recruitment team, so that the messaging then that can be set up is very strategic in nature.
Absolutely. And what's really nice about the career site, because there are a variety of touch points for our candidates, depending
Mhm.
on how they prefer to interact, whether it is chatbot, whether it is personalization on demand, whether it is our talent community. We can use that information to craft these re-engagement messages. If it's a current applicant or if it's a lead, somebody who's come onto our career site and hasn't applied for whatever reason, we're able to reach out and connect with them and basically say, we see you, and let us help you find an opportunity with regions, and how we can present those different calls to actions based on, again, thinking about where that candidate may be and what information is useful to them in their own journey. And to have that information is really helpful, because we want to make those contacts very meaningful, very impactful, so that our candidates want to explore opportunities with us, because we're very aware that our candidates are probably not only looking at our company. And so it's a way that we differentiate ourselves in being able to tell our story proactively and intentionally.
Absolutely, and even helping to establish that relationship, right? I think all of that is just really impactful. And so, Scott, yeah, you're totally right. I think I might have jumped the gun and gotten myself a little bit excited about 3.0. But before we move on from that, I know that there was another really foundational aspect of centralizing, right, the messaging, and I believe that was part of 2.0, correct?
Yeah, we focused a lot on helping our recruiters have more tools and more access to tools that could help them convert really a lot of passive candidates into active candidates. And so, by having these job category landing pages, it was a place that our recruiters could send candidates to that were maybe on the fence, weren't quite sure. They liked what they heard, but they wanted some more information. And so, the more time that we can get candidates to spend on the career site, we're able to provide them with an even more customized experience. And so, trying to just get people to the career site, that helps with conversion. It helps our recruiters. Obviously, it creates an even better candidate experience, and it just keeps everybody kind of on the platform. So we just have more robust data on the behavior of the people, so we can really help them out.
Absolutely. And so in doing that, then a lot of this content, as you're building and framing these stories, you know what your culture is, you know what the benefits are, but oftentimes that information lived elsewhere, right?
Right. And the other part of it too is one part of 2.0 was recreating our header. So if you were to look at our career site, you'll see at the top where we had to recreate our header. And that's where we were able to pull that information specifically from different places to put it in one centralized place, to your point. So whether we're talking about our culture, whether we're talking about our benefits, which are two of our most viewed pages that we can see through our analytics, or creating a customized experience specifically for early career talent and campus recruiting, that was all part of what we did when we created the header, thinking about what we needed to do today, but also what was going to be coming next. So that the header's been hugely helpful for us as well.
And in addition to that, the header pages were able to embed all of the engagement features that live on our homepage. So we can add in personalization on demand. Chatbot lives on all of those pages. And we're even able to take that a step further with adding in employee testimonials on those pages, and being able to share our story, both from kind of our lens, but for our candidates to hear from our associates and what it's like to work at Regions. That's honestly what candidates want to know. And so if we're able to share that, again, in a centralized place where we're keeping candidates on our career site, we're able to tell that story and then have those calls to action embedded right there on those pages. That really helps to drive our conversion. And again, that conversion could be into our talent community, and to be setting up a job alert, looking at a job, whatever it may be. We're able to capture that information and then engage with candidates in meaningful ways that are really tailored to them. We think about that a lot, and how that experience can be tailored to candidates based on what they share with us, and wanting to engage and continue to get to know what their interests are, and share with them information about, again, maybe our benefits, maybe our culture, and to have a place to send them and connect with them has been really invaluable.
Which is so powerful, right? Because the priorities, the needs, and frankly, the expectations of candidates have also evolved, right? There's more that they are looking to uncover and understand about your organization, in addition to just the jobs that you have open and available at that time. And so by being able to allow them access points to uncover that information if there's something specific that they want, but also continuing to sell all of the why behind Regions versus just the job itself, I think becomes so powerful in, to your point, converting along every step in that journey, which ultimately means hiring the best quality talent for your brand as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
So this is such I think a great way to tell that iterative story. So we've set the foundation. We've got personalization. So even without a lot of content, that we're able to help candidates navigate the why behind your brand, between the chatbot, the talent community, the personalized search, and more. We've organized the data to make sure that what they're looking at is as close to resonating based on where they may have come from as possible when we're talking Regions opportunities. And now we're starting to really build upon that messaging that's going to keep talent on this experience for as long a period of time, but also helping them to uncover all of the things that they've got in their head of like, oh, if I'm looking at these other organizations, but Regions is really speaking to me. What is that which is going to speak to them, and how do we get that in front of them as easily as possible? And so now we're ready to really move and evolve to that 3.0, right? Like really telling a beautiful story about what a specific type of role is, does, and means for Regions specifically.
Yeah, and that we got really excited when we started thinking about this, because again, this is all new for us. We had no idea what was going to be possible. Our team would sit around and say, "What if? Like, what if we could do this? How might this work?" And it also was born out of understanding that our corporate marketing and corporate communications teams do a really good job of telling the region's story to our customers, to our communities. And what we were finding is that there were particular pieces of content that they were delivering that we thought to ourselves, candidates would really love to hear about this, but how do we get it to them? And then we would start to see stories that we were able to go back to our teams internally and say, hey, could you maybe tweak this a little bit, or maybe change the image, or do something slightly different, because here's what we'd like to do with it. And over a period of time, we were able to have enough content to create kind of what we've called microsites. And so you can look at the Tech and Ops one by clicking on that link there. And what you'll see here is just even more information about technology at Regions. Again, more detailed information about how we're organized, more employee value proposition stories based on associate testimonials. We've got some decent imagery here that we've been working on. We've got FAQs, we've got video content. This is really a place where we hope candidates can get lost, but in a good way. This is really exciting stuff that we've been able to pull from our internal partners to really, tell the story about why people should want to work in technology or in risk management or in our consumer banking branch network. And it has really, I think it's really elevated our EVP, because there's not a lot of companies that are doing this level of transparent employer branding. And the other exciting part about developing these sites is that we had input and buy-in from our HR partners as well as the business leaders that these pages were created to benefit. And it's just been a really exciting time for us working on these microsites as we kind of explore Career Site 3.0. And of course, I know Melinda's got a lot to say about all this too.
Oh, absolutely. And being able to, again, have a place where we can tell this story in a very, again, customized and personalized way, thinking about tech talent, being able to share what they're interested in and what they want to know, and be able to connect some dots for our candidates about, again, what it's like to work at Regions, and what are our opportunities. And the functionality of these microsites it's just really impressive, where if a candidate clicks on one of those tiles, it'll take them to a faceted search for that group. And so it's just very exciting to be able to make some of those connections to our candidates, and again, kind of drive them where they want to go and provide the opportunity for them to do that. And then in addition, on the microsite itself, we're able to embed jobs, featured jobs for that particular job category. Again, we're wanting candidates to get excited about the story that we tell, and then be able to provide those conversion opportunities really all in the same place. And even more so, these pages are standalone links. So we're able to share those with candidates. We're able to post them on LinkedIn. We're able to put them in campaigns and campaign to our candidates. As we update content on our microsite pages, we're letting our candidates know so that they can engage with new content and learn more about Regions and what we're doing and why they should get excited to work with us. Again, we're wanting to really focus on where candidates are coming from. How active are they? Are they more passive? And how we can help convert them based on where they're coming from. So to have the opportunity to do that on these microsites has really been, as Scott said, very exciting, and a way that we can continue to just showcase our employer brand, for our candidates' benefit.
And I think it's so powerful that not only is there really detailed and comprehensive information to help inform candidates, but also educate them, right? Is this the right job for me? And now, instead of just seeing the baseline roles and responsibilities, right? Seeing the video content and the employee testimonials and just all of that info that helps me to really understand, am I a potential fit for this role? But now to have this information that can be used throughout the candidate's journey to make sure that they see this and make it more of a proactive approach, as well as something that candidates can find while visiting the career site, I think really empowers that recruitment marketing team to help make sure that everyone looking at technology opportunities, as an example, at some point in time really has the option to see and connect with this particular story.
Absolutely. And that's really where, this build out, this 3.0 is really kind of, core for us, is that we saw this as just a huge opportunity to be able to tell our story, and then, have candidates, come upon that organically. All
Hmm.
of our job category pages have the microsite link just right there on that page. So that's kind of an organic way that we're able to capture that candidate interest and that engagement, but to also have the functionality to proactively, campaign this information to candidates, is also very powerful. And so, having both of those capabilities, we're just again able to connect with candidates, ideally again in a meaningful way, where we're able to know, this group of candidates express interest in our technology group. Well, let's connect with them with this microsite, so that we can provide them with more information. And it resonates with candidates who may be going through our recruitment process, and maybe they have had an interview or something to that effect, and it just gives them kind of more information, as they're making those decisions. Again, knowing that candidates, especially tech candidates, may not only be
Hmm.
considering regions, and then also for those that are more passive, as they're considering where do they want to potentially make a move, that we're providing that information. And we know candidates have a lot of touches before they actually apply. And so by being aware of that and trying to craft these microsites with that in mind, has been a really great way for us to, connect with candidates in a way that they want to hear from employers and about employers. And we're able to do that through Phenom.
I love it. Thank you so much for this. And I think there's so much that we could dive into here on the site, but I want to think through to the future, right? So we've covered 1 to 3. What does 4.0 look like for the regions team? And it just sounds like you're constantly evolving and thinking through and getting ideas for how to take this already impressive experience that is converting qualified talent at a rate that it sounds like you've not seen before, but you're still thinking ahead into the future, which I love. So what does 4.0 look like for the regions team?
Well, we're very excited about the opportunity to personalize our actual job postings. So we realize that a large percentage of candidates actually they're sent directly to a job posting on our career site from one of our other vendors. And when they do that, they're passing the career site homepage, they're passing the job category landing page, and they're passing the microsite. And they're just landing on that page. But, through some of the customization tools within Phenom, we're able to add dynamic content to that posting based on the candidate's persona as well as the job posting itself. So for instance, what you see here, a company that we've acquired, Ascentium Capital, they had already created this incredible video that we thought was great, and they do business a little bit differently in terms of what regions' kind of core businesses are, which is why we really want to highlight a differentiator here. And Melinda was able to work through the tool to create automated logic that automatically posts that video and that box about Ascentium onto Ascentium postings with no manual input. It's all automated. I'll let Melinda talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and again, as Scott shared, to have this content and be able to have a place for this that candidates can engage with, it's really helpful. Ascentium Capital is a part of Regions, but you may not know that, and so wanting to have that branding and be able to share that at the job posting level was a really critical need. And what's nice about it in the way that our team is structured is we get feedback from recruiters, so they're able to share with us, this is what I'm hearing from candidates, or wouldn't it be nice if we could do this? And to be able to provide those solutions such as this to our recruiters ultimately helps our candidates, because they're having those direct interactions, they're getting feedback, and that's what we want. And so this was really a great example of being able to customize that experience for our candidates, specifically around Ascentium Capital, where they come onto a job posting, and again, they may not have come to our career site because because it's Regions Bank career site, but they're coming at the job posting level, and we're able to kind of, again, meet them where they are and what they're hopefully expecting, where we can share more about the Ascentium story, the video that they have, and then also just more about the company. And so as an extension of that, opportunities to do that on other job posting pages, utilizing video content, utilizing the EVP, text verbiage, all of that we see as a huge opportunity. And again, just another way that we can customize and personalize that candidate journey at the job posting level.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we don't need to go very far into the world of social media to recognize the interest that more and more that candidates have on interacting via video, right?
Absolutely. We are very excited about what is to come around video and video content, and the functionality that we have with the career site to embed those videos, from the technology page to embed videos from our chief technology officer directly to our candidates. That's a huge win in being able to tell our story, to have that functionality. You're right. Video is a really impactful content channel, and that's something we're leaning into.
Okay, fantastic. Anything else as it relates to 4.0 and beyond, really? What other ideas are you guys thinking through?
I'll just add one thing, well, two things real quick. One is the importance of looking at everything on your career site on a mobile device as well. When you're in the CMS tool creating the site, there's a way to look at that, but we always test everything before we kind of push it to production. So one comment I'll make there. And then, something else that we're moving to that is a part of, Phenom's offering is what's called hosted apply. And so it's basically a way today, if you were to click on apply for one of our jobs, you would be sent to Workday, which is our ATS. And we're moving to hosted apply so that all of the steps in the the application process will be in Phenom. So we just think it's going to be a more seamless process. You can see an example there. Candidates never leave Phenom, and we're just really excited about our ability to also track better analytics. We're going to be able to see, an apply click actually convert to an apply, and then how that application process goes. So we're in the process of going through this implementation now. We're pretty excited about this.
Oh, absolutely. So you've done so much to get candidates in front of the right opportunity and really understanding what it means to be the right opportunity for them, getting all of their questions answered and more. And now then the next natural step, I think, here would be to really make sure once they've raised their hand and they're ready, to make that experience as clean and frictionless as everything else you guys have worked so far so hard for in 1, 2, and 3.0, right, to put in front of them. So I think that's really exciting. So would love to open up for any questions that we might have from the audience. Scott and Melinda, thank you so much for really sharing your journey as someone that's been here and been in front of these career sites and this technology for over 5 years now. I could talk about it one all day, but I really think that the story that you have put in front of this candidates is really an impressive one. So kudos to you for that. I'm really excited to see where this is going to be heading, even in the future. So
Definitely. And also just a quick plug, Melinda will be speaking at I Am Phenom at the end of the month. So we're excited about that if you want to hear more.
Oh, absolutely. And Justin, if we could bring that up just a little, to plug not only Melinda, we're very excited to have her there, but just the opportunity to be in front of incredible speakers, in front of each other, right? Like, it does feel like it's been a while. So in person coming up here at the end of March, and we have a bit of a surprise for everyone. So check your inbox. There will be for 10 randomly selected webinar attendees today an offer code for a free I Am Phenom ticket. So 3 days, amazing speakers, some really great keynotes, a lot of content in the city of brotherly love, right here where I live in Philadelphia, and we really look forward to seeing everyone there. So I'm not sure if there were any questions in the. Oh, I do see here just a couple of questions. So. Someone asked about challenges that you've run into, and I'll happy to let Scott and Melinda, you take this. Challenges that you've had, if any, in setting up the bot, and how were those challenges overcome? So just really tips in adding this type of technology, and how if you ran into anything, what was it, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, and I actually wanted to mention this earlier when we were talking about the chatbot, but didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. One of the really important parts of the chatbot implementation is reviewing the unanswered questions. There's a report within chatbot analytics that'll tell you which questions it was not able to give a response to. And then you can also look at the chatbot analytics to see how people are generally feeling about the interaction with the chatbot. So very early in the process during discovery implementation, we put all the answers in there that we could think of, but then we learned quickly, based on what was being returned as unanswered, to get it smarter. Because you're right. I mean, anything that involves natural language processing or any kind of conversational AI, it's got to learn and get better, and we saw that as well. But about 2 years into this now, it's doing a pretty good job, and we don't see any major issues. But I would say just be patient and help it learn, because it will get better.
Yeah, and I would echo that in terms of unanswered questions, but also in the questions that are in kind of the chatbots library, looking at those as well. With our launch of our job category pages, microsite links, we've actually embedded links within the chatbot responses to help take candidates to, places in our career site that are useful. We have an assessment, not unlike other companies. And so within the career site, we have an FAQ page around our assessment. So when the chatbot gets questions about the assessment, it answers that more common question, but then we embed the link to our FAQ page. So that type of functionality is a way that we've tried to overcome, some of those challenges. And as much as we try to kind of predict what candidates may have questions about, we really try to craft our answers to address those, and then to always, as much as we can, have a link to some place that is going to be helpful and useful based on what the question is, and looking at trends, as Scott shared, around analytics, and it's something that we have seen a lot of return on.
Yeah, that's helpful, Melinda. Thank you. And there's one more here about that hosted apply process with Workday, for any changes that are coming up, particularly for that of Workday with email verification being required. And so it's important to note that Phenom and Workday we've been a certified partner of Workday for going on 6 years now, I believe. And so as part of that certified partnership, we are made aware and up to date on all pending requirements, changes, particularly as it relates to the points of Workday that Phenom integrates with to really create this elevated experience. And that is one of them. So we're fully prepared for that. Over 200 of our customers have this Workday hosted apply. And so we're made very well aware of the pending changes and are in alignment to support that from a technology standpoint. Fantastic. Yeah. So a couple of questions related to any insights on how long candidates tend to spend on the career site. Melinda or Scott, I'm not sure if you have any specifics that you would like to share, because I know that it does vary by probably by industry, and really even by type of candidate, frankly. But if you have some specific insights that you would like to share there too, and maybe even the amount of time that is now spent on your career site as opposed to when you first launched Phenom, because again, to your point, creating that content that keeps them learning more about you for as long as possible by maintaining all of that content on this career site becomes an important part of the answer, I think, to that question.
Yeah, so I'll give a quick answer on this, because analytics We have so many different types of pages. That's really where we see the biggest difference. A job posting page, people aren't going to spend as much time on as they will one of our microsite pages. They spend more time on our search result page because they're looking at jobs, which is where they spend the majority of their time. I will say we do look at within analytics, we can see average time on page, and we do kind of generally track that number and hope that it's in the green. That way, it's always improving, and so we see that pretty consistently. And again, we could always delve into specific pages, but generally speaking, our average time on pages is increasing over time. So again, we could spend another session on analytics on page views, but I'll leave it at that for now.
And I'll add to it, in addition to just, time on page, we look at number of pages. That's something that, we're very curious about and really love to track, this idea of, where do candidates go when they land on one page versus another page, and looking, as Scott mentioned, just traffic on particular pages, and what pages we do see longer durations of viewing, and then those that we don't. We look at those pages and want to know how we can improve that. And so to have, again, those insights, which we didn't have before, being able to see that and then build strategies around and build enhancements, improvements to, has been really, really helpful for us.
Fantastic. And thanks for the data and the context. I think both are really, really important there. And as we're speaking a bit about chatbots, I know that there's a lot of interest. Someone here in the chat mentioned really what's the number one reason for an employer to incorporate a chatbot? It sounds like we're looking to build an argument internally, and I love where your head's at there. So Scott, Melinda, I would love for you to chime in, but what I would say from a Phenom standpoint is that it is all about conversion. It is getting the questions that a candidate may have about your recruitment process, your culture, your brand, your opportunities before they're ready to take that next step in applying, and making sure that they don't have to apply, then chat with a recruiter to answer those questions, but instead can get that absolutely on demand whenever they're researching your opportunities. This particular bot, however, also allows a candidate to provide baseline information about themselves, their skills that Melinda talked about, their preferred work location, even down to the fine printing, especially if you have a lot of locations, on where they are located, in order to get inline job recommendations served right up to them. So based on what they're looking for, to help them search for that right opportunity. And between the two of those things, it has helped Phenom customers to get in front of more information about more candidates well before they're typically ready to apply. So converting not only visitors into leads, so getting more people in front of teams like Melinda's when they're not ready to apply, but also by helping candidates uncover the right role and the right info about questions that they may have, converting them into qualified applicants as well.
Yeah, and I'll just add that we kind of felt like it was table stakes to an extent. This is just kind of what's happening right now, and if we want to be, I mentioned before, our goal was to provide best in class, CX. We felt like that was a foundational part of being able to do that, and so the chatbot, if nothing else, just helps candidates navigate your career site. Melinda mentioned before, we create pages, all over the place, that are very specific, and there is a path to getting to the page. But if somebody lands on our career site homepage and asks the bot how to get there, it's going to send them there. And we just figure that helps keep people engaged with our brand, again, on the career site. And it honestly saves a lot of questions that we're probably going to, an inbox somewhere that maybe HR operations is handling, or, random calls and emails to recruiters asking questions. So we just felt like it was table stakes, and then we've just really leaned into it to make sure it really is, providing that best in class candidate experience.
Yeah, and I'll add to it as well. As Scott mentioned, it's just the way of the world today. When you go on to, any retailer's, career site as a customer, there's a chatbot there. And so, thinking about career site, I think people have questions and want to know where they can get that information. And the way that the chatbot is set up, it's very clear to navigate to where, is that candidate looking for new opportunities, or do they want to ask a question? And so those really kind of nice workflows help navigate our candidates to what they're wanting and what they're needing. And so from a table stakes standpoint, it worked for what we were wanting to accomplish, because we do think about this. We think about candidates who come onto our career site and we don't have any information about them. And the chatbot is one way that can help capture that candidate that we may well have not been able to connect with. And I think people are getting more and more comfortable with chatbots. I prefer a chatbot sometimes. And so to have that functionality, I think is really welcomed for our candidates, and is likely going to become an expectation going forward.
That's great, Melinda. Thank you. So I know Jen from the Phenom team posted a URL to really just learn more about the success that regions have had in the form of a case study. So that can be found it right there in the comments. We'll absolutely follow up with it. Again, because we could spend hours and hours on this, I think that really distills, in addition to all the insights, Melinda and Scott, that you've provided us today, that more info on that iterative process, so to speak, and how you've really elevated your candidate experience for your potential employees there at Regions. So thank you so much again for hopping on, for sharing this insight with us, and for keeping it fun on this day of love. So thanks for dressing the part and all of that as well.
As my daughter did this morning. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, happy
Yes.
Valentine's Day. I love it. All right. Well, we'll see everyone at the end of March here in Philly for I Am Phenom. And thank you all so much. Have a great day. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Okay.